Hello and welcome to the Infor Tech TV Live Builder Hour. My name is Paul Horn. I'm a product manager in the Platform Technology Group, and I have with me today Caitlin Porter, a senior engineer with the Platform Technology team as well. For those of you that are new to our sessions, I highly recommend that you check out the past episodes in the YouTube playlists. There's lots of great information in there. And obviously looking at attending future sessions for more live demonstrations as well. There's a lot of great content that we're posting on a very, very regular basis, and we're hoping to have lots of great sessions into the future. Before we dive into the details, let me explain how these sessions work. The goal here is to create an interactive forum. We want you, our audience, engaging with us. Caitlin today will be building and demonstrating the product real time in a live demo, and everybody can pray to the demo gods right now so that we don't have any glitch. But we highly encourage you to participate in asking questions using the chat functionality of the client, whether that's YouTube or LinkedIn, to ask us questions, and we give you real-time answers that hopefully will answer questions that everybody has within the group. So again, really encourage you to ask questions. It makes for a great interactive session. Now, before we proceed any further, it's important to note that this is a live session, and therefore we need to throw up our disclaimer. During the course of this episode, we may cover various topics, including questions about the future of our product, roadmaps, and proposed dates. However, it's crucial to understand that we're not making any promises or commitments in this episode for precise dates and information about functionality. You always want to make sure that you consult with your Infor resources, whether that's through support or your contacts, and refer to the official roadmaps for any new functionality that you're looking for within the product. Okay, so before we get to the build part of the hour, I thought we'd start by introducing today's product, which is new, and it's called OS App Designer. It's a new no-code application development framework, and it's built exclusively for the OS portal. So this is a new thing for us. If you've heard of Mongoose, we do have a full feature set application framework today, and it utilizes no code, low code, and full code. But it depends on a lot of services and servers, whereas App Designer is built to be a very low footprint, cloud-only, cloud-safe development framework for multi-tenant. And exclusively within the portal. So it has a really tight integration with the portal. It actually uses the portal as its runtime. So whereas Mongoose, which is not going away, by the way, I'll just make sure that that's made apparent. Mongoose relies on services for rendering and doing a lot of complex interactions. App Designer uses the portal as its runtime. And it also utilizes a lot of the parts of the portal in order to render its pieces. So the IDS or design system componentry, the libraries that are stored within the portal, we actually use as part of our application development framework and for the presentation model. Now, the question would be, what can you construct with our brand new framework? Well, because we're brand new into this, we thought we'd start with limited functionality, and that really talks directly to widgets. And utilizing widgets within the new portal with its augmented framework for workspaces and the new smart panel as well. It's just a really, really great place for us to introduce a brand new framework for building out small applications, that being widgets, into those workspaces. Now, just to talk a little bit about workspaces, it's a really personalizable experience for you, the customer, in that you can select from a small group of functionality that's contained within our catalog that is specific to your ERP, and we post all of those. Those are the things that we create internally and have created with the ERPs that you can then select from in order to build a personalized experience or a personalized work stream for dealing with your application and your data. What we're giving you with the app designer is the ability to leverage that data as well to produce things that you want. So not just the view of what Infor wants to see, but also the view of what you want to see. So you get to build your own widgets, utilizing your data and representing that in a really concise and usable manner in those workspaces. And we do that access to the data is through our API gateway. So it's, again, a very secure method of accessing the APIs. It's done using your personal credentials. So when you develop a widget as an administrator, you might have access to data, but then when you hand it to your users, they only have access to those things that they have API access for. So again, very secure method, same method that your ERP uses to access that data. And because we utilize the API gateway, any information that we surface as an API in the gateway can also be accessed. So whether that's external API information or information that might be in an offline state, like the data lake. We have noticed that in our experience with Mongoose, that sometimes we can overwhelm the production systems by hitting APIs all the time for information. So it's sometimes better to go to the gateway or to go to the data lake in order to get that offline information. And access it near real time, and then only access the ERP for those things that we need to do in a real-time basis. Talking about widgets, we can utilize them to communicate with one another. Caitlin's going to be showing us an example of that today. Again, we can utilize them for accessing your localized data. And into the future, we're also looking at some other things like accessing the data within your actual app real time, that using a smart panel. We'll talk a little bit about that maybe at the end. And with that, I think that's a good enough introduction from me. So we'll pass it off to Caitlin. She can introduce herself and get us into today's build.
Sure. Yeah. So my name, like Paul said, is Caitlin Porter. I've been working under him on the Mongoose enablement team for close to 10 years now. So while I've exclusively worked with Infor Mongoose, I've specifically worked a lot on how to extend your applications. So now with Infor OS, I'm an early adopter of sorts, and I've been focusing primarily on really laying that groundwork on how to extend your different ERP applications with OAD. So in today's demo, I'm going to start by showing you how to quickly build a widget using an existing data service. And then I'm going to, I'll dig it a little deeper in the second part. I will show you how to use some existing M3 data to build out some widgets, and I will implement some context messaging to show you how you can have widgets interact with one another. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hop right into the demo.
And I'll probably open it up again. Please ask questions along the way as Caitlin's going through the build, and I'll interject whenever I can here to come in and ask those questions, Caitlin, and we can cover that as time goes on.
Sure. Okay. So here is Portal version 2. This might look new to some of you guys. This is our newest version of Portal. So as you can see, App Designer is included in OS, like Paul said. Here you have a ribbon where you can access all of the different OS components. You can also access them from down here. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into App Designer by clicking on the ribbon here. And here is the launch page for App Designer. You can see here, it takes me to the drafts. So this is a list of all of the drafts that I have, widget drafts, and it's sectioned off into drafts, published versions. So published holds all of any widgets that you have published and or are deployed. And then you have archived as well. Over here, there's a section for data services, which I'll touch on a little more later on in the demo. And then you also have a section for translations where you can define different language translations here for different strings on your widgets. So in this first part of the demo, I'm just going to quickly show you how to build out a widget using an existing data service. So this data service that I'm using is an existing Mongoose data service. Later on, I'll show you how to do, I'll actually show you how to build an M3 one. So starting off in the draft section here, I'm I'm going to go ahead and click New Page up here in the top. This will bring up a list of templates that are currently available. In this version that I'm running, I believe there are 8 templates available that I can choose from. So we have some simple list widgets, which is what I'll use today. We have other types such as a forms widget, which will allow you to actually add like a button to perform actions such as updates, deletes, etc. We've got a data grid widget, which is rows and columns of data. Then we've got a records widget, which is table of data followed by fields on the right. We've got some KPIs such as counts, charts, and then we've got some informative type templates such as greetings and banners that can display key messages to your on your workspaces. So starting with this demo, we're just going to do a simple list widget. So I'm going to select this template here, and it's going to bring up the designer wizard. So here is the first step of the designer wizard. This will give you, on the left, you get a bunch of different options to choose from. So here you can choose, you can set a title for your widget. In this example, I'm just going to call it customers. And you'll see as I type in real time, it populates, gives me a view of what my widget will look like. I can also use these on the left on the top to show what it'll look like if it was to be resized in a workspace. So all of these widgets are dynamic. They can stretch and they're flexible, and so you can adjust all these different sizes within your workspace. So this gives you a view of what that would look like. So I give it a name. In this example, I'm going to use, this is going to be a simple customer list. I want 2 labels. Maybe I want a hyperlink. So I'm going to go ahead and you can toggle something on and off. You can see here when I toggle it on and off, it shows on the designer over here. You have other options. So in this example, I want to also show a logo for the different customers. So I'm going to go ahead and click Show Component. And here you can see it will show where the image will be. You can also have initials. So if you wanted to display an E and S for Eric Smith here, that would show as an initial here, just something a little more visually appealing to show. I'm just going to keep the image for this example. We also have other options available here, such as badges. If I turn this on, you can see this does a little pill-shaped badge on the right. Here I can apply some conditional formatting as some indicators, so you can apply different colors to different numbers, and you can define all that in the templates. Lastly, there's an icon, so I can do a status icon, and this is also conditionally formatted, so you can format it to show different status indicators of your data. So for this example, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to keep the image. I'm going to do 2 labels and a hyperlink. So this hyperlink, I want to drill into the Mongoose application. I want to be able to click on it and to actually drill in to see more data about that customer. So we're going to configure that in this example. So I'm good with this. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And here's where I can give it a name. In this example, I'm just going to call it customers, and I can give it a description here. This name is what I see, not what the end user sees. So this is just for me to manage on the back end. And then I can also apply tags here. So this is particularly useful when it comes to when you're dealing with really large sets of widgets. So this can help you categorize and group large sets of widgets. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. And here's where I have the option to select a data service. So data services are connections in the API gateway. So these are things that I've set up. They point directly to an API in the gateway. So here I already have an existing one that I want to use. And I'm going to select MET customers. Okay, from here, I've got my selected data service. If I wanted to go ahead and test that data service, I have that option here to test it, and I can see what data is actually being retrieved from the API gateway. So I can hit Run here, and you can see here it's returned back my data in the background. So I'm going to hit OK and then hit Next. Now I've got my data hooked up to it. Now I can actually bind the properties on my widget. So I've got these properties now that are empty. I can click on one of them, and here you'll notice there's also a list of elements here on the left. I can specify what I want to see. So here is my data service that I selected on the left, And below is a list of properties that are on that data service. So in this example, I'm going to select name, and I'm going to click my second label, and I want to bind it to address. I'm going to click my hyperlink. I want to bind it to my customer number. And then on the image, I have an image property. This is most image formats are accepted. I think this one is a base 64. So I have a logo, and as you can see here, it gives me a great display of all of the logos in my system. Now that I've got that done, I want to configure my hyperlink. So these utilize, so if I click on my hyperlink, now you'll see I have an options section over here on the left. I can use this configure element button to do so. So this will bring up a URL settings dialog. Here I have the option to select if it's a drill back. You can use a external source. In this example, I want to use a drill back to drill back into my application itself. So I'm going to click as drill back. You can use a static name if you wanted to say click here or something like that. I'm just going to use the customer number instead. So source field, this is what I am going to filter on. So this is my primary key for that table. And I want to filter on my custom. I'm going to select my product. In this example, we're drilling into the Mongoose data service, or into the Mongoose application. And I have a URL that I'm actually just going to copy and paste into this value over here. So this URL, as you can see, this can also be accessed via the Infor Business Context Viewer, the drill back link in there that can drill into the ERP application itself. So that's what I'm using here. And as you can see, I have this source field that is populating with my custom. So with that being said, I'm going to save that. I'm good with that. And I can actually preview it by hitting this preview button up here and clicking into this. Oh, I might have to launch it first. Here we go. We can test that actually when I put it into a workspace. So here, I've got that done. The hyperlink is configured, and I'm going to go ahead and finish here. Once I finish creating it, then you will see it's going to go ahead and put it in draft mode in my draft section. Okay, it gives me a notification up here saying it was created, and you can see it's right here. So here, it's sitting in draft mode, and now I want to be able to publish to a workspace. So I'm going to use this ellipsis up here in the top right, and I'm going to go ahead and click publish. It's going to go ahead and ask me if I want to publish, and I'm going to click publish.
Hey, Caitlin, while you're doing that, there's a few questions about Ion APIs and that type of stuff. I know we're going to get into data services in a little bit, but essentially anything that's available through Ion API is available as a data service. So that would be any product that we have, right? Like, for instance, somebody had asked about Infor XA. That's a little bit of an older product in the family, but I believe it's also through Ion API. So anything that's available as an API through Ion API would be available as a data service.
Yep. Okay, so now that my widget is published, I can move over to this publish section on the left. And you'll see here now a version of that. So I've got this version here that is published, and you'll notice these other widgets over here have a green check mark to them. That means that they've been published, and it says they've been deployed to the portal. So while my widget is published, it has not yet been deployed, so it's not actually accessible through the widget catalog. So in order to do so, I got to deploy it. So I'm going to go ahead and click the ellipsis and deploy. It'll ask me if I want to deploy it to the catalog, and I'm going to say yes.
And a question on how many versions can we keep of these?
I don't believe there's a limit to how many versions. So quickly, if I want to touch on versioning, so say you want to, I'll actually demo that before I So let's go back into drafts, and let's say I want to make a change to my widget. I want a different version. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to edit my widget, and it's going to bring up the widget designer. And say I want to change the, I can go back in and change the page attributes up here. I'm going to say I want to change this to customer listing. Hit finish. So now that it's saved, I've got a different version of the draft. If I go into here and try to publish it, I'll get a different prompt this time. So you'll see here now, I get a prompt that says, what type of release is this? So because we already have an existing version of this widget, I have a couple different options. You can choose a major release, a minor, or a patch. If I choose major, it'll change the versioning number from 1.0 to 2.0. I can specify a minor release, which will change the versioning to 1.1, or I can do a patch, which will be change the last number 1.0.1. So I'm just going to say this is just a minor release and then hit publish. So now that it's published, let's go back into the publish section. And here you'll notice it says update available. That's because it's recognized that there's a newer version of this widget that is available. So I'm going to go into this settings over here, and this will give me some information about the widget itself. But over here, it'll tell you the current version and it'll tell you the deployed version. Right now, they're both sitting at 1.0, but I want to change it to the latest version that I just created. So I'm going to go ahead and click that change version button. And here I get the option to pick any version. So this gives me the ability to move forward to a widget, and it also gives me the ability to move back if I needed to move back to a version. So these are all stored. You could have, I don't know if there's a certain limit. Paul might know if there's a limit, but I haven't hit it if that's the case. But you can store multiple different versions of a widget, and you can go forward and backwards as you see fit. So
yeah, I don't think there is a limit to that, but I'm sure
I haven't. Yeah. I haven't hit it yet, so that's good news. So I'm going to go ahead and change the version to 1.1 and hit save, and it'll update that it'll say, do you want to deploy that new version? And I'll say yes. So now that my widget has been created, it's been published, and it's been deployed, I can now access it from the widget catalog in a workspace to add to a workspace. So I'm going to go up into the hamburger menu up here at the top left, and I have an existing workspace that I want to use. All right, there's nothing in here yet, it's just blank canvas. Here I'm going to go ahead and click this add widget button. And if I go ahead and search in here, it is called customers BH right here, and I can hit add. Once I hit add, it adds it in the background. I can resize it as I need it. You'll see here when I toggle on it, I can stretch it down. So say I want a big list like that, and I can save. So here, now I've got my widget, it's live. I can click on it. I can, if I, oh, it's not working. I must have configured the hyperlink wrong, but I have a working version of this. I'll show you later. But now that my widget is live, I can actually access all that data. So that's the first part. That just shows you how quickly you can build a widget with existing data services. And let's say now that you want to create your own data service. So in this next demo, I want to show you how to create, I'm going to create two different data services. Both of them will be utilizing M3 data. So these are M3 APIs that are available in the API gateway. I could go back into the gateway right now and test them, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make a data service here. So these data services connect directly to those APIs. So I'm going to click the data service tab on the left, and I'm going to hit new data service up here. So there's three different types here. There's data lake objects that I can access. There's IN APIs, like we said. And then there's static lists where you just want to contain simple hard-coded type values into here. In this example, I'm going to use ION API, and I'm going to click create. Here, it's going to prompt you to find the API. So here I can access all of the different suites that are available in this tenant and methods. So these are get, post, delete, all of the different API types. So in this example, I'm going to first, there's an API called list warehouses. If I hit enter, it'll pull up, there's two different M3 versions of this API. There's a version 1 and a version 2. I'm going to go ahead and select the version 2 and hit select here. Once I do so, it'll pull up any of the any documentation from the Swagger and the API gateway. So go ahead, I'm going to give this a name and I'm going to call it M3 warehouses, and let's say test. I can give it a description, I can give it a tag, and I'm going to hit next. So from here, this gives me an option to provide any inputs. So everything you can see here is imported in from the Swagger documentation in the gateway. So I've got a HTTP method here is specified as get. So I want to get a list of warehouses from the M3. Here you can see the URL with all of the different parameters. This is all coming in from the gateway. This request header is just part of the JSON that is coming in. And the great thing about the M3 APIs is they work straight out of the box. There's no configuration that's needed. For some APIs, you might have to configure a few things. You might have to input a certain values into here, but the M3 ones work straight out of the box. I can go scroll down. These are all the input values that came in, and I can test this data service, and I can run it down here, and you can see it's retrieving a list of all of the data for the M3 warehouses. So this looks good. I'm good with this, and I'm going to go ahead and click next. Next is where you can define.
While you're just in the middle of that, just to speak a little bit to the complexity of JSON, obviously, this whole section from a data services perspective is really keyed at people that, like a business analyst, somebody like that, that's going to have some knowledge of the APIs and the available schema and things like that, and also how to manipulate JSON. I'll just make a note that we are looking into the future to make a lot of these first class connections that'll be to the ERPs. So whether it's M3 or CSD or any of the Mongoose applications, Sightline, Factory Track, we're looking to build those so that we surface the componentry or the schema within there automatically. So whether it's going to, and we already have this for Data Lake. If you go to Data Lake, the Data Lake connection, it only shows you Data Lake objects and views that are already created. Similarly, for something like Mongoose, we would show you the IDOs and available properties on an IDO. And we're going to call those first class connections. They're still utilizing Ion API, and they're still in the background filling out this same sort of information, but the wizards will just be a little bit easier for maybe people that don't have as much knowledge about the available APIs and be able to search that information as well. So just a small looking forward tidbit.
Okay, so moving on. We've got this output section. So we've defined our inputs here, and now there's an output section of things you want to actually output to your widget. So here you can see, I can actually view the JSON here if I really wanted to. So there's a root element that you can parse out the different values, and these will output the different parameters. Here, I can also define an alias. So if you've got some cryptic type data that you want to be able to read, make it a little more readable, I can change that here. For example, I can change this to warehouse location. I can change this to warehouse name, and that will output the fields as warehouse location, warehouse name, which you'll see later on. So this one works out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and I can test this one more time. So this will return back one record of data. If I click this test data service button and run, you can see it's retrieving. This is what the data would look like if you were to bind it to a widget. And here it's replacing those fields with my aliases here, which makes it a little more readable. So this all looks good. I'm happy with this, and I'm going to go ahead and click next, and it'll give me a summary of what I'm going to create. And then I'll go ahead and click finish. Once I've done that, my first data service is done, and I can now go in and create my second data service. So my second data service is going to be a list of items by warehouse. So there is another API in the gateway that retrieves this type of data, and it's filtered by warehouse location. So In this second one, I'm going to select Ion API again. And this time I'm going to search on, it is list item, this is the name of the API. So list item warehouse by warehouse. You'll see in here the proxy path. I'm going to select the version 2. And same thing, this time I'm going to call it M3 warehouse items. And I can give it a description and tag if I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and click next.
Hey, Caitlin, question on what you would use a static list for.
So static lists, I use them sometimes to hold URL values. If I wanted like a hard-coded URL value, I've used that before. You might know some other scenarios, Paul.
Yeah, I think we've envisioned that there might be, if we were going to have like a validated list of information. App Designer does not have its own data store. These static lists are literally hard-coded lists that would get posted with the widget itself. So there's a chance that we might use that for validation or for a drop-down list or something of that sort. And again, we've used it, yes, for storing information that we could then cross-reference. So it's strictly a rows and column data table that you can store with your widget.
Okay, so moving on. In this second data service now, I want to feed it an input parameter. So like I said, in this example, we're going to feed it the warehouse location, so it'll filter by warehouse location. So down here, I can retrieve all of them. However, I want to set a default value of 001 so I can show you. Let's go ahead and give this a warehouse location. And here I'm going to give it an alias, and then I want to see it filter on warehouse location of 001. So if I go down here and test it now, here I can also test, I can put in any value I want to test it, but I want to retrieve 001. And if I run this data service now, it'll only show me records that have a warehouse location of 001. So you'll see here, I scroll down.
Yeah, and an interesting question with this too. For products like M3, returns 1,000 records, but I only want to show the first 50. How would I do that? So there's several different ways that this could probably be approached. We don't have, we can make inputs. So where Caitlin was showing earlier, the JSON input, a lot of those APIs have an input value for the number of records to show. So it could be hard coded into the data service. But eventually we would like to make that so that we can make that as an input value off of a configuration page that would be attached to the widget. So again, future functionality, we're looking to make those types of variable values available to the API. But today that would be something where you would then code it into the data service to only return back that number of rows. And there might be other ways of doing that as well. But again, that's kind of where we stand today with that.
Yeah, like Paul just said, here I would just put in a value of 1. So that'll return a max record of 1. And you can see here in the results, it's returned back 1 record. So that's how you would hard code it now into the data service itself. Okay, so I'm happy with my input parameters here. And I'm going to go ahead and click next to move to my output parameters. Here, this all looks good to me. This is the root element that's been parsed by the JSON. And I just want to give a couple aliases. So I want to say item number and item description. So that all looks good to me. And I'm going to go ahead and click next and then click finish to create my second data service. So now my 2 data services have been created and I'm ready to make some widgets off of it. So I'm going to move back over to the draft section here. And I'm going to click new page. So in this example, I'm just going to do a real simple, straightforward list widget, and I'm going to select that template. I'm going to give this a title of warehouses. And I'm just going to keep these 2 labeled and call it a day. So I'm going to hit next. I'm going to get its name, M3 warehouses, and hit next. So here's where I'm going to select my first data service that I created, M3 warehouses test. And I'm going to click this add button to add it here. I could test it here if I wanted to, but I know this is working, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit next. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and bind it. I want to bind it here to, let's see, warehouse location. And I'm going to select label 2, and I'm going to bind it to warehouse name. So now I've got a list of warehouses. And in this example, I'm going to show you how to have two widgets interact with one another. So in order to do that, we can utilize context messaging within these workspaces. So if I go back up to my list element here, now you notice I have this option of context message. I can go ahead and expand that, and I'm going to send a message. So this is my first widget that I want to send the warehouse location number to my second widget, so it'll filter by that. So in order to do that, I'm going to click this sending button. Here you can specify a message name. I can give it warehouse name as the message name. This field can be unique to your workspace. It's case sensitive. And here you can specify, it could be whatever you want. So I'll just use warehouse name in this example. In the source field, I'm going to specify what I want to send. So I want to send the warehouse location value to that second widget. So I'm going to select that. That's coming in from my data service. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. So I actually
have more no question. Can you have more than one message name?
You can only send one message as of right now.
And
However,
can there be more than one message name on a page? I guess is sort of the...
Yes. Yeah, you can send as many, you can have each widget sending a different message name. And you can have widgets that send and receive at the same time, and you can have widgets, as many widgets as you want, interacting with that one message. So, but you can only send one and you can only receive one at a time. So we've got our message sending. I've got this one complete. I actually already have a version of this created, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click cancel because I have a version that just as in order to save time, I'm just gonna hit exit. Now in the second widget, I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a simple list widget, and this is our widget we want to set up to receive that context message. So this is going to be called warehouse items, and same thing, I'm going to keep it real simple and hit next. Give it a name and 3 warehouses. Warehouse items and hit next. Right, and then I'm going to select my second data service that I created. So M3 warehouse items test and hit next. So now I've got my second widget, and here I want to see an item number and I want to see an item description. So I'm going to bind item number to my first label, and then my second label, I'm going to bind it to item description. So now I've got a list of items and descriptions, and now I want to feed in that context message. So I'm going to go up to the list, and under context message, this time I'm going to say receiving. I want to receive that same message name, so we called it warehouse name, the same message name, and I want to specify what source field, and so we're using that warehouse location field here, and I want to specify that same name that's being sent. I would save that message here and click finish to create my widget.
So essentially the names have to match in order to
yes,
have one send and one receive and be listening. So it's sort of
correct.
A talking, listening kind of thing.
Correct. So now if you wanted to see this in action, I have a workspace that actually already has these 2 widgets on here. So I've got a list of my warehouses right here. This is what we just created. And then I've got a list of warehouse items. You can see here as I click through the different warehouses, this other widget is automatically updating as I switch through each record. So this is that one that's sending, and this is the one that's receiving. So if I say I wanted to see, I want to see what message is being sent. I'm going to go ahead and edit something, and I'm going to show you something. So I can actually add the context viewer. So there's a standard widget called the context viewer that I can add and save. And so here you can see the Infor business context message, but here you can also see any of those context messages that are being sent from here. So if I go ahead and type in warehouse name, which is that message we defined, you can see it's actually spitting out the value of each different warehouse. As I change records, you can see the different values that are being sent in that context viewer. So this is the one that's sending, and this widget is listening for that message. So you can have multiple widgets that are listening to this message.
And we didn't have to do anything in order to, other than what we did inside of OAD itself. We didn't have to do anything on the page. You just basically selected these from the catalog.
Correct, yeah. So with that, this is a really simple example, and I can so I've got an existing workspace that, let's say this. You can have, for example, this is an example of a workspace using, these are all widgets that were built with OAD. In this example, I've got all of these widgets are listening to different messages. As I change records, you can see all of the values on these widgets are changing. I can even go over here and change an order line. And you can see here that these order lines will change. I can see a detail based off of an order. Even if I select here, it'll show me different item. It'll show me details about that order line. And so that's just how complex these context messages get. You can have whole dashboards of information that are all interacting with each other.
Nice.
And then in here, you'll notice I have this one widget over here. So this is a one widget that does an update. So here I have the ability actually with certain APIs to update data. So if I went into here and say I wanted to update, I want to bump up this to 55.
Can we see that through the drill back first?
See it through
drill back into the customer.
Sure, yeah. Oh, I didn't even get to demo the customer. So if I go in here, I can actually show you the drill back links. So if I click on that, what this will do, this will pop you straight into Mongoose, filtered by that customer number. And
so this is the source of the data that we're seeing.
Yes. And you can see here, this AR credit is set to 45,000. I can update it directly from if I go back to my workspace up here in the tab, say I want to bump it up to 55 and hit update. I can go ahead, drill back into here, and it's automatically been updated to 55. Here, I can pop this open, and you can see here, I can also add this widget to my to the pop out over here, and I can update it here as well if I wanted to.
Right.
If I hit update and then refresh over here, just like that data's been refreshed.
I think it's probably worth mentioning that for those on the show that are recognizing that, is this connected? This is actually future functionality that we're looking to have. We do not currently have Infor business context messaging working. That is something that we're working on for, hopefully we're looking at it as an October deliverable, where we can capture the Infor business context message for, in this case, it would be communicating the customer number, similar to what Caitlin did with the M3 selecting a warehouse. This would be capturing the customer number on the ERP application through Infor business context messaging to that widget in the smart panel. And it would then capture that customer number, insert it here, and then of course display the associated credit limit. So really the power of these widgets, once we have that functionality in interacting with your mainframe application sitting on the frame on the left-hand side, that's really where the power is going to come in. That context is really, really important. We can do a lot of powerful things with that information once we can have that for, in this case, changing a value, but it could also be augmenting data where we're storing data back into potentially a Mongoose database, or even the data lake is a potential as well. There's a lot of future capability that we can surface once we have that functionality.
Yeah, and so we have a little bit more time, and I'm going to quickly show you guys how these update work, how the update works in App Designer. So if I go back into App Designer, I've got my widget. I want to show you how that interacts, that update is actually done. So that widget is called MET Customers AR, and I can go in here, and if I go in and edit. So this is just another template that I selected, and this template actually has a button on it that can allow you to configure it. So what this widget is doing is actually so if I go up here to the page, change data service, you can see here on this widget, there's actually 2 data services that are hooked up to it. So we've got one that does an initial load, and what that load does is it has an input value of that customer number. That customer number will retrieve the data associated with it, and we'll feed it out onto the widget. Then I have a customer's update, which is a put API that will actually feed values into that put API. So I've got these 2 data services that are hooked up to the widget. This custom is fed in via context messaging from another widget. And I've got this field. This is a selected value of the customer number, whatever filtered by customer number. And if I go to the button, I'm going to hop over real quick. And so I've got the button, and now I have the option over here to configure this button. If I go and configure it in the MET Customers Update, which I will show you guys in just a second, this is that update API. So this is a put API under the Mongoose endpoint. And there's 3 input parameters that this data service requires, and it's custom, AR credit, sales year to date. So here I've got my custom, which I'm feeding in that value. I've got my AR credit. I'm saying I want you to use text box 1 to provide that value for the AR credit, and then I want you to use text box 2 to update the sales year to date if you needed to update that. So you feed in these input parameters here. If I go into the data service itself, I'm going to go show you the update of the data service. So the load is, let me go over here. So MET Customers AR load is the first one. This retrieves back that filtered value. And if I go under here, here's that input parameter. It's saying feed in the custom. I have a default of 1065, but this is what that context message is feeding. And then it's outputting those 3 values that I want on my widget. So that's the first one that's loading the values. And then I've got my second one, which is MET Customers Update, I believe. Yes, so this one here, this is an API called update item in the gateway. And here we have a little additional JSON that's needed for the request header. Here you can see it's a put method, and I can actually view the JSON. If I click on this is actually a template that's imported from the Swagger documentation on the gateway. So it gives you a template of how to update it. Here, the action value of 2 means update. You could do a 1 for, I think 1 is for new, but that's all located on the API gateway if you needed to look at it. Here I've got the different property values that I want to update. So I've got my custom, which I'm not modifying, and then I've got my AR credit, which is the one that I'm modifying. I'm saying down here, this is modified. Then these are the input parameters that I showed you in the widget that I want to feed in. And I'm feeding in these values in the widget itself. So under that button, it's populating these values. And then when this API or when this data service is triggered, it's actually going to call that API and populate it with the values you're feeding in from that widget. So that's how those widgets, and there's no output parameters defined. It's all just input parameters on the on this data service. And if you wanted to take a look at that, if I hop over to the API gateway and search on the Mongoose suite, here I can locate that API, and all of this documentation is what's imported in on the data service. And I'm going to scroll down to JSON, and this is the one that I'm calling this JSON put update item. If I click on here, you could test it out here as well. You could feed it all of, so here's that example value that the API needs. And this was automatically imported into the data service. If I go over to the model, it'll show me what it's looking for. Use 1 for insert, 2 for update, 4 for delete, etc. And that just gives you an idea of what that would look like in the data service. So you can use this kind of to test things and kind of assist when it comes time to building out your data services.
Nice.
And one more last thing real briefly. So this is, like I said, this is a workspace that I built out using all of the templates within OAD. And
yeah, can you walk us through some of the different ones, all the different
Sure.
templates that are here?
Yeah, so we've got the list one that we've done. This is that grid template. This is the what is this one called? I don't remember the name of this one. Forms widget.
Yeah.
We've got the this one here with the grid on the left and the details on the right. We've got the charts. There's different charts that you could do. There's pies, there's donuts, there's bar charts, as you see, like a bar charts up here. Here is a header widget where you can display a custom logo, a custom message.
Great for branding and stuff like that, and also describing a page. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep, and this one over here, this uses your image from your portal settings, your user portal settings. This imports in your image, your name. You can have whatever message you want to display here. That's the greeting widget. Then you can also build up I have another dashboard that I can show you. We have like this example HR dashboard where here's the different departments. These are all use context messaging. You can see here as I switch to the different departments, everything else on the form. So this is more charts over here. You can have different KPIs down here, this count widget that can display key data, this little pill badge over here, you can use that conditional formatting to format a certain way, certain colors. And
nice way to visually see information and things that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
And with that, I mean, that's about all I've got for my demo today. We can open it up for questions now, discussions, things like that.
Sure. There is one question here. Does the option exist for M3 on premise? Yeah, so this is not available for on-premise directly. So the new OS portal is cloud only, and App Designer is a cloud-only framework. There probably is a bit of cut over there if you're talking about hybrid scenarios or something like that, but no, this is only available in the cloud. So jump to cloud.